What's good? What's poppin'? Welcome to another episode of that deep shit. And on today's episode, we're going to talk about the self-diagnostic system. Let's take a look at the word diagnostic. The word diagnostic typically means a check. So when you're diagnosing something, you're checking the status and the details of that. So just like, for example, when you're taking your car into the mechanic shop because it has broken down or there's some type of problematic issue with it, they hook up a scan tool to the computer system of the car to go over the readings of the CPU unit in the car to tell you if something's off, if the air is off, if the fuel is off, if the air fuel mixture is off, if there's a sensor somewhere that's off, and things of that nature. Now, when we're talking about the human self diagnostic system, same thing. We need to hook up a scan tool to the CPU unit to check the vitals of the body, the mind, and the soul. How do we do this? Well, one thing we have to do is shut up. Shut up. Stop talking so much. Sit down. Be still. A lot of people don't have the time of day for themselves. And that is very imperative if you want to run a self-diagnostic check. And it's very much needed for everyone to do so. Because sometimes in the everyday hustle and bustle of life, we kind of forget to check up on ourselves. We check on everything else. We check on our job, we check on our kids, we check on everything else, but we don't check on ourselves. How do we do this? Sit still, shut up, listen, meditate, close your eyes, shut down the senses. The problems that are happening in the body, in the mind, and in the soul will all start to show themselves in the computer readout in the form of things that you envision or see while you're meditating. Thoughts, problems that you can't get past. See, a lot of people, when they meditate, they think that they're not successfully meditating because they have all this chatter. That chatter is your diagnostic printout. These are the things that need to be addressed and need to be pointed out or need to be solved for lack of a better word, and for example, a lot of mysteries that you may have about yourself will be revealed. You just have to know how to read the codes on your diagnostic printout. Okay. Anything that's wrong with you, you'll find out. You just have to understand symbolism. You have to understand what you're seeing and visualizing when you're meditating, and what these things are. For example, just a little bit of a personal example that I have is, I pondered on the addiction to sex and the addiction to continuously want to procreate, right? And pretty much you get addicted to the feeling that sex brings because of the chemicals that are released in the body. You see what I'm saying? So you are really not addicted to the sex per se. It's more so the chemicals, but this is any addiction. So I'm just giving this as an example because same thing with food. You eat food to release a certain chemical in your body, and you can be addicted to food. Same thing. Once you start identifying situations like this that kind of get and I'm not a sex addict, okay? I know that may came across like, oh, this nigga's crazy. No, no, no. But I'm just saying, for example, I ponder on a lot of things. So, 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 anyhow, So, with that being said, once you start to understand why things are, you can start addressing issues that you may have. You know what I'm saying? But with me and with a lot of people, I ponder on a lot of things, but I run myself through a self diagnostic check just to make sure I'm staying balanced and I'm staying in tuned with my proper path. You know what I mean? So I highly recommend that you go into a state of actually specifically going into a state of finding out what's wrong with you. Another tip that a personal tip that I like to use that I'm going to give out or just recommend that you use, and just because it works for me does not necessarily means it's going to work for you, but you can try it. It doesn't hurt, right? So what happens is I will go to sleep, or by the time I'm about to rest, I use my imagination to the fullest. I will shrink myself and go inside of myself and kind of rummage around my arm, rummage around my head, my brain. So I'm shrinking a version of myself to go through. Now, not saying that all the time that this works and you get answers, but what this does is this helps the imagination run while you go into different levels and different realms of the sleep cycle. So if your imagination is still running while you're going through all these different levels of the sleep cycle, what you're going to get at best or at worst is lucid dreaming or astral traveling. You may not get the answers right away of a self-diagnostic system, but you'll get the answers to something. And if you keep doing it, repetition is key. Eventually, you're going to start unlocking doors and start unlocking answers. So, with that being said, I'm out.